Here we are. It's Journey On. Welcome back, everyone. It's another very special episode. I think we've only done this once before, where we had 4 people attending the church cast, and I wanted to welcome everyone. You always hear from Pastor Karl and I, so let's let's see who else we have with. Amy from Fargo is here. You have the message coming up this weekend.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
and we'll talk about what that's all about in just a little bit. I also know that you do a lot with community. You're a huge part in bringing Journey Fellowship into the community in Fargo, and something coming up in Bismarck as part of the community events that we have here at the end of April. We have Fresh Fire, and to talk a little bit more about that, Pastor Curtis is here, and you're with the organization. I wrote it down. I wanted to make sure I got it right. Revival Prayer Fellowship. And for everyone that speaks professionally, I really want to say thank you for putting revival and prayer so closely together to get us to work our work our mouths and get the words out right. Revival Prayer Fellowship, and it's a fresh fire coming up the last weekend in April. I know you've got some information out. You've talked in Bismarck. We just wanted to get more people aware of what's happening, and we'll talk about that coming up. And before we do now, in Fargo on Saturday, Amy, were you able to attend the service?
Yes.
And
Yep.
and great. And Pastor Curt was in Bismarck. So it's quiz time. All right, let's see how well everybody was paying attention first. Just to make sure it's fair for everybody. I really appreciated the idea of uh, uh, King Agrippa. We talked about King Agrippa, and last week during this preview, I asked the question, does Agrippa get saved at the end of the story? And the fact that you brought in that message that he said, my life is fine. I'm not going to change. You almost got me to become a Christian. And
Mhm.
to hear that message and to have lived that in times in my life,
Right.
it's fine. I'm good. I don't want to screw things up by trying to be better. Right? That's a thought
Right.
I've had.
Yeah.
And being a Christian isn't easy. Nobody promises that. And the good thing that comes out of being part of our family is that when those times are hard, it's much easier to get through those times, knowing that Jesus is with us, and so is our family, right? The family that we have all together. So that
Yep.
was mine. And then, Karl, what was your takeaway from the message that you received and passed on to everyone?
Well, I guess if I had to nutshell that, it was I right towards the end of the message, I started talking about a mountain because sometimes
Hmm.
we can see our sin, we can see our sin nature, we can see our pet sin, whatever you want to call it. We can see that as a
I'm sorry.
go
My
ahead.
pets don't sin. Thank you very much. My pets, I have 3 little dogs, and they are angels. So take it back, sir.
So you've never had a pet rock then, right? So right. Um, So we can set up camp at the base of this mountain and not and instead of continuing to think of a way to get over, around, or through,
Hmm.
we just become very natural with it. We start inviting friends over to take a look at it, and it becomes a real big part of our life. And I think that's a scary thought. That's a scary place to be when we're thinking about gospel, when we're thinking about growth, when we're thinking about testimony and maturing as Christians. Um, I don't know. Sometimes we need a wake-up call, like an Agrippa saying, "You almost had me," and then we start thinking, "Oh, what would have been his hangups?" And we can
Right.
start relating with some of those things.
Hmm.
Some of the things that I think a lot of times we think, "Oh, God and I, we have a deal. We've worked it out," and
Yeah.
and we really haven't. We've been lying to ourselves. So I like the idea of the mountain
Hmm.
where we need to take up stakes and start moving.
Yeah. Good. Thank you for that. And
Sure.
now, in all fairness, Amy, you've had an extra day because you heard the message on Saturday. So you get to go next. What was your takeaway from the King Agrippa character story?
I really like how the word almost is what he pulled out and focused on for a bit because it's amazing how much of a difference one word can make
Hmm.
and uh, have an impact on how something means or what it means to you. So,
Oh, we have a special guest. What's your puppy's name?
Yep. This is Shadow for,
Shadow.
yeah, we'll do a little tip down. There you go. Because he's too cute to ignore completely.
Absolutely. He's a good boy, I can tell.
He is a good, he
Yes.
is a good boy.
Yeah,
He
very
doesn't
good.
sin either.
Thank you. All right. So the proof is out there.
Yep.
We've got it. So all right. Was that was that the extent or almost the extent of what you had to say?
Yep.
All
Very
right.
That was
nice.
enough.
Very
Thank you.
nice.
Thank you. Yes. All right. So moving on gracelessly. Pastor Curt, what what did you take from the message this week? And thanks for attending our church once
Yeah.
again. Appreciated you being there. And what did you hear?
Well, first of all, I heard a phenomenal worship band.
Hmm.
My. That is that last song. Well, every song you sing, but that last one is my very favorite one. I
Mhm.
like that. I mean, it just talks about revival, and that's awesome.
Thank
So you
you.
do,
Yeah.
yeah. That's amazing. But I think as I thought about how Pastor Karl, how you just kind of wove that message and made that a family affair. I'd
Mm,
never really kind of thought of it like that, with Agrippa and Herod and all of that, and how they would have known about Jesus so much.
mm,
And I just thought, man, we can know a lot about Jesus and just never make the trip to faith,
mm. Amen.
and we can know so much. And I think we're in a society now, and this is a box I get on once in a while, but we seek knowledge so much at a point, and we go to conferences to get more, get more, get more. We have a hard time living out what we know,
Mm,
and so anyway, so just that relationship with Jesus is so cool, and just to know Him and to realize, yeah, that we don't have to be at that almost spot. We can know Him and love Him and worship Him and be part of His great, great, wonderful family. So
mm. That
I,
that
I,
grace
I
is
want
amazing. Yeah.
I want to jump on because something you said really reminded me. Have you guys ever heard of that book? Um, Everything I Ever Needed to Know I Learned in Kindergarten. You
I
ever heard of
have.
that book?
Boy, I have heard of it. I don't think I ever read it.
I haven't read it either, but just in that title, um, well, it plays in. So everything we ever need to know about being a Christian, we learn
Mm,
almost right away. Love
mhm,
God and love people. And then it almost seems like when you were talking, and I wouldn't accuse any of us of this, but it almost seems like sometimes the more knowledge we get,
mm,
the more we pull back and create like a protective,
mhm,
not, but yeah, what you said makes total sense. What we really need to know, we learn right away, and then it's enacting on it, right?
mhm. Well, and
Well,
then we
then
we complicate things too, right? As human beings, we complicate.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's yeah, absolutely.
I think I think it's not long until we want to turn that relationship into religion, and it just so happens so quickly
It does.
because
Yep.
it's so much around us, and we want to manage it, and so then it becomes religion, and that is so human, it's just so human, but it's a temptation, but we'd rather make it work for us rather than have a relationship with Jesus.
Right.
Yeah.
If
Exactly.
that so
Yeah. Yeah. Very well. So that is a thank you all for that recap. That's fantastic. And we're in the series New Phone Who Dis, and we're
Yeah.
talking about the lesser known characters of the Bible. And I'm we haven't talked about it yet. I don't know. Are we continuing that this week? Is it still a tertiary or what's the fourth? It's primary, secondary, tertiary, quadrilateral,
I was gonna say quad something, but I can't be sure.
quadrary. Okay. Are we continuing New Phone Who Dis? How about that?
Yes,
um,
that as far as the what extent of character. Yes. I'll let you figure that out.
Yeah, we'll Google it
But
or
yes.
something. We'll come back. Yeah. Maybe we could get a math person on one time to be with us
That'd be
on
nice.
these very
That'd be nice.
difficult
That would up
things.
the bar.
So who's our character? Who are we getting to study this coming weekend?
This week we are going to dig into Miriam. I don't
Miriam.
know if you know who she is.
Not yet, but I have a feeling that I will soon.
Yes.
Excellent.
Um, so to give you the a tidbit is that she is Moses's older sister.
Oh,
And there are three different stories where she is kind of directly talked about. She's mentioned more than that, but there are three stories mentioning her. And we're going to touch on all three of them, but really dig into the third one, which is in Numbers 12. And
all
I
right.
think the whole chapter is dedicated to that story. So if people want to read something for this weekend, it would be Numbers chapter 12, the whole chapter.
The whole and is that like 5,000, 6,000 words? Is that a pretty big one? Or how big is the chapter?
Almost only 4,500.
Oh,
No.
okay. All right. Numbers 12
I,
should be easy to
I
do. We can find numbers. And if I remember right, that's somewhere in the Old Testament, right?
somewhere in the
Pretty
first
early on.
third,
Yeah.
first quarter. Yeah.
Yeah. See, back to math. We're doing all
There it
kinds of
is.
math. We're learning fractions now. All right. So
Miriam.
Miriam. We'll have
Yep.
to look up how to spell
That's
that too, but
most
we'll just
likely how I'll say it. Miriam.
Miriam. Well,
Yeah.
we'll try to do the same. All right. Well, that so excited for that, and it's 10 o'clock Sunday in Fargo, and 10 o'clock Saturday in Fargo,
Yep. There
Sunday
you
in
go.
Bismarck. Everybody knows. I don't know why I keep saying it. It's filler while I'm trying to think of what to say next, to be honest with you. So I grew up as a young adult. I went to school for radio broadcasting, and one of the things that they hammered into our head is no dead air. So those
Oh,
times, people that know me, where I'm saying those silly things and making jokes where, back to fractions, about 10 to 15% can be funny, but the rest of the time it's just filler. Like I just have to keep talking. There can't be any dead air. So that's a little bit of my background. And now let's move
there you
into
go.
something that people care about and the background of Revival Prayer Fellowship. Actually, I would go ahead, Karl. Go
I
ahead.
was going to say one of the reasons that you're so good to have in a group, especially with that being ingrained, no dead air. When someone asks who'd like to pray or who'd like to read,
Mm,
y- people with that particular
yeah.
tendency are always willing to jump in because they don't want that uncomfortable silence. And I
Mhm.
know that, Jim, because I'm exactly the same way.
Yeah.
Exactly
It's
the same way.
yeah, it's our kryptonite. So anybody that knows us now, just keep not talking, and we're going
Right?
to confess something. It's in our nature. It's
Yes.
what we do.
We would not be good behind enemy lines. Oh, it's awfully quiet. Awfully quiet.
I'm going to start telling jokes. Yeah, this is why we can't do that. Yeah. So very good. Well, Pastor Curt, could you tell us a little bit before we talk about a fresh fire? Could you tell us a little bit about Revival Prayer Fellowship? What is that organization?
Now, Jim, that is a wonderful question.
Well,
I
There
thank
should
you
you.
do
go.
my I should do my radio voice, but
Yeah.
now I won't. I won't do that.
Well, if you
Anyway,
do that, I see you're in a vehicle. If you go on under an underpass, you have to fade out, and then you can come back up again after you
oh,
get
I
to the
see.
underpass. It's
Yeah,
part of our
AM.
training. Yeah,
Right.
part of our training on the
Oh, yeah.
AM stations. Yeah.
Thanks, Jim. I need some help. Anyway, back to Revival Prayer Fellowship, started by a guy by the name of Armin Gaswine, who was a prayer man. He lived in California. He was a Lutheran pastor, went to Norway, experienced revival there, came back to America, established the ministry there. He was a pastor, but he started Revival Prayer Fellowship to bring pastors together, to fellowship. It makes sense, right? And to develop unity and to pray. It was Arma Guesswine and about three or four other guys that started the deal in Los Angeles.
Oh.
At the first, they had an evangelistic crusade in Los Angeles that lasted for, I think it was 2 or 3 weeks. And their evangelist, it was his very first crusade, was, guess, Billy Graham.
So okay, this is interesting. I was expecting that Revival Prayer Fellowship was in your home office and
Nope.
something that's so this is a huge organization that
Well,
you work with. Yeah.
not really huge. It's basically I'm it at this point.
Oh,
But
okay. All
Armin was,
right.
yeah. But Armin was he started the ministry, and then
Yeah.
he had pastors conferences in California that 300 pastors would come to. He was a mighty man of God. I mean, really just a man of God. Anyway, so that he did that started in 41. And, like I said, I got files with Billy Graham's letters back and forth. Yeah, it's very interesting. Armin was a remarkable man, remarkable teacher about revival. And so anyway, he did that for many years. And then he died, and a guy from Bismarck took it over. And so the guy from Bismarck did it for about 14 years. And now he handed it off to me, and I've been doing about 7. But our goal is, of course, to encourage revival, to encourage prayer, and also, one of my purposes in life is to develop unity and fellowship. And so that's in a nutshell what it's about. So I try and do conferences when I can, and when there's open doors, and anyway, that's the nutshell.
Yeah, so thank you for that. And it's led to Fresh Fire, which is happening about a month from now. It's April 26th through the 28th in Bismarck at New Song Church, for those that are looking for the location. And for those that want to know where that's at, that haven't been involved, but have the kind of gray hair that you might see on me. It used to be Wheel a While, where you'd go and roller skate. And bumper cars and video games were all happening there. But now it's a church, and they have just as much fun as they did back then when I've attended. So it's at New Song. But what's happening at a Fresh Fire? What can we look forward to?
Well, Fresh Fire is basically, again, the Gathering Leaders for Unity, that group, which is there's 7 key players in the GLUE leadership. And we've gotten together, and we've invited Jim and Rosemary Garlow to come. They're from San Diego. They're part of the World Prayer Network. I mean, they are the World Prayer Network. If you look up wellversed.org, tomorrow night or Wednesday night, they have a Wednesday night blog all the time. Or Sunday night. Yeah, Sunday night. They have a Wednesday and a Sunday. Anyway, always cutting edge stuff. And I could get into some of these things. Anyway, I won't. But Jim just spent time with the President of the United States, and so he's a well-respected man. And so not too many people I know have shook the hand of our president. One of our legislators maybe have, but anyway. But so Jim is well-respected and has been to Israel many times, was a pastor of one of the largest churches in a large Wesleyan church in California, who was pastored by John Maxwell, John Maxwell is a leadership guru across the country. So I've heard Jim speak several times, and just recently, this last year, very, very, I heard somebody say it today, he has a political understanding that few people do of our country. And from a biblical perspective, he also counsels prime ministers and presidents around the world. And he has about 10 or 12 guys that he's mentoring right now on how to lead their countries in a biblical way. So he's done stuff. So he's been all over. They do tours of Israel. They're doing a tour in England about John Wesley's travels. And so that's coming up in June or July. And so, I mean, they're very, very, very busy people. And then along with that, not only we have a guy coming from Hollywood, which nothing good comes out of Hollywood, does it, Jim?
Well, maybe this one person, and we got him, right?
Well, you're going to hear about what is going on in Hollywood. The Hollywood Prayer Network they've identified about 10,000 Christians in Hollywood. They have organized prayer groups. And the president of the Hollywood Prayer Network is Chris's mom.
Oh, all right.
Chris's mom, Karen, told me on the phone one day, she said, Washington is known as the seat of power, but Hollywood is the seat of influence.
Oh, sure.
So, I mean, they take this everybody should take their ministry seriously. That's needless to say. But so what they're really trying to influence Hollywood through prayer and with all of the fires and stuff going on, Chris is going to have basket full of stuff to share with us. I can't wait. He's a 34-year-old guy on fire.
Oh, fantastic. And these are so those three speakers, and will they be speaking at different times throughout the events, or will they just got to be available for conversation? What's the format look like?
Saturday morning, there's a men's and women's breakfast, and the women's is at Century, and the men's is at New Song. And
that's Century Baptist is where the women's
yes, sir.
And they're both at 9 o'clock on Saturday morning.
Yep. And it's
6th. Yep.
And it's going to be a full morning. We're going to have a good full breakfast, not just donuts. And so, but you need to.
I was hoping for donuts, man.
Sorry, bud.
Big fan.
Yeah. Donuts are my favorite vegetable of all. Anyway,
I would consider it more of a fruit because you can have that jelly inside them. But yeah,
okay,
it could go either way. Yeah.
So anyway, so the women's at Century Baptist up on Washington, and New Song is the old skating rink right by Menards.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's going on Saturday morning. Saturday afternoon, there are breakout sessions where the Garlos and Chris and Ron Inget, a man from Bismarck, is going to talk about prayer, and a guy from Fargo, Michael Anderson, is going to talk about prayer. So we have 5 breakout sessions, and then Saturday night we have a multicultural service where we're going to have 4 different languages: Haitian, African, Hispanic, and English. We're gonna throw everybody together. We're going to honor the pastors of those churches.
So I've heard you mention that a couple times now, and are they all 4 going to be talking at the same time? Or are they taking turns? How is this going to work? Because I have a hard time hearing one person at a time, honestly. So hopefully,
anyway, I was going to use some sign language there.
Yeah, we'll throw that in there too. Hopefully they take turns during this.
Yeah, they definitely will do that.
And then I see that on Sunday we have the World Prayer Network and Israel Spotlight in the evening.
Yep.
And that'll be at New Song also, right?
Yep, in the evening. Yep.
Gotcha. And then Monday, we have a breakfast happening, and then some time to connect with pastors and leaders for the kingdom as well. Is that kind of it in a nutshell?
Perfect. Yep, that's perfect. That's yep. Yeah. If you let me talk anymore, I'll ramble a lot more, but that's excellent. Excellent synopsis.
I'll speak on your behalf, Pastor Karl, but at least 2 others of us on this call have the same issue where we just keep rambling, and it's honestly why we came up with something called Final Thoughts.
That's right.
If you go back and look at our previous church chats, I'm sure that I spent 3 minutes on at least a few of them saying, doing the Midwestern goodbye. Well, that's it for today. Thanks a lot for joining. Make sure to check us out here. Go here, do this. Thanks again. Appreciate it. You guys take care. God bless. And okay. Oh, by the way, that one thing, remember that recipe we were going to talk about? And then 45 minutes later, we wrapped up. So we're with you on that, but appreciate everybody's time in talking about what's coming up. We've got the message with Miriam. Yep. Got it. And we'll keep working on that. We have a fresh fire coming up. I know we'll mention it at church in Bismarck a few times. If anybody wants to get a bus together out of Fargo to come up for it, more than welcome, of course. Oh, a couple questions on that with the fresh fire. Is it being broadcast? Is it going out on the internet? Is that being worked on?
Yes, it is being worked on. New Song they have camera capabilities, and they do stream stuff. So we're definitely need to get that is just new development. So yeah, we must do that just for the sake of getting the news out about this. Yep.
And spreading the word on how it works. And if it's a success here, as it is a success here, it can be a success in Fargo and other communities that are able to watch online. And then if people want more information about a fresh fire, in my world, I would Google a fresh fire, Bismarck, North Dakota. Why don't I do that right now? I've got a computer right here. Let's see. A fresh fire, in case anybody else wants to look it up. Bismarck, North Dakota. You look that up in Google. And actually, Instagram has information. There's some all events. Facebook has information about it. Is there a particular place or email address you'd like people to reach out to if they have more questions?
Sure, we can go glu.pray.
Glu.pray. That's simple enough. I like that.
At,
GLU.pray. And I'm going to make
at
sure that's
Gmail.
at Gmail. Got it. Yep.
Come on, Jim. Let's do this, okay? Let's get it right.
It's called so a little bit more about the radio industry. When you talk like this, that's called puking. You're straining your voice and you're puking. Yeah, I'm sure that's probably a thing in music too, right?
There's puking in music. I'm not sure it always had to do with speaking in a microphone.
Yeah. I remember that. That's part of your testimony. I remember that story. Yeah. Well, Amy and Pastor Curt, thanks for joining us. Pastor Karl, thanks for being here as always. Did you have any final thoughts before we wrap up here?
I do, yeah. And I want to thank you guys as well. And Amy, I'm really looking forward to Miriam. She and I talked, I think last week probably.
You talked to Miriam?
I did. I talked with Amy out of turn before the show. Absolutely. Great character. Two of my favorite stories in the Bible involve Miriam. So I'm really excited to hear your message. But for final thought, I want to talk about something, and I don't know that this has ever been said before, but I want people to take an inventory of their personal landscape. And the reason I say that goes back to this mountain thing. So it really did have an impact on me. And I want people to really, really kind of look at how their life is. And one of the other things we talked about was sometimes we can get upset. And the reason we get upset is because we're moving away from God, and something in our chemical makeup, the way God has designed us, causes us to feel angst or anxiety or depression or anger when we move away. And so looking at those things in your life, I talked about peeling back an onion, when we're peeling back an onion, what are those things? Our personal landscape. Is there a mountain that we've set up camp at that is now part of our personal landscape? Is there something that continually is causing us anxiety or anger or any vast array of emotions? That's going to be places that I believe the Holy Spirit is directing us to work on. So, and also not just directing us, but giving us the strength and the guidance to get through it. So, that's what I'm encouraging people to do. Pray on that. And because I mean, we want to be the absolute closest resemblance to Jesus we can when we die.
Amen. And I've been watching on your shirt, and all I've been able to read throughout this entire recording is that your shirt says "Who peed?" And I'm really curious what the rest of your shirt might say.
I better show you.
Please do, yeah, because it's
who peed in your weeds.
Is that a reminder for you as you were going about your day today? Is that where that came up?
No, this came out of the clean pile. This is post shower. That actually was part of a message I did. Oh my gosh, what, 2 years ago, maybe, Amy? And just a reminder that as Christians, we're constantly being watched. This is the goodbye you were just talking about. We've done the final thought. Now we're going to wrap it up a little bit.
For real, yeah.
Yeah, but just a constant reminder that life is good. We have a lot of things to be grateful for, and so many people walk around looking like somebody peed in their Wheaties. So this was part of it, and I had a shirt to wear.
That's awesome.
And now, because I only wear it once in a while, it's still brand new.
It looks great. It's fantastic message as well. And the most important thank you is to our very special guest Shadow for making an appearance. And we'll look forward to seeing Amy and Shadow again sometime, and same with Pastor Curt. Thanks everybody for being with us here. Continue to spread this. God bless, and we'll see you soon.